All right. Good morning, everyone. Our group our group's project was healthy food accessibility within the city of Youngstown. Let's start by introducing ourselves a little bit. I am Nathan Gostey. I'm a graphic design major at YSU. Thomas Hunyadi, who is a mechanical engineer at YSU. Praise Olufemi. She is a electrical engineer at YSU. And then on my right is Praise Kaziah. Kaziah Boudrey. She is a chemical engineer. So for a bit of an overview, we're going to first start off by explaining our project and why it is important in the city of Youngstown. And then we're going to go to our plan, as well as our plan to execute it and the future of our project. So our goal is to reduce food insecurity in Youngstown by promoting food sovereignty in Youngstown. So what does that mean? We have a few definitions for you. So food insecurity is a lack of consistent access to healthy foods to live a comfortable, active life. And food sovereignty is the right to having that. Just because you do not have that doesn't mean that you are not deserving of it. In order to achieve food sovereignty, you must take food accessibility into your own hands. And this is what our project is going to do. For some background, here is a map of all the places within Youngstown that are food access points. So this is all your convenience stores, grocery stores, supermarkets, and gas stations. Here it is again, without all of the labels, so you have a better visual. And the next slide shows all these places that sell fresh produce. That's about 90% gone. So obviously this is a real issue within our community. It's a health crisis at least. So our project is to solve this issue. So we decided to add on to Youngstown's most famous quote, "You can't break a city built from steel, but you can definitely starve one." So I'm going to take this over to Tommy, who will explain our project more in depth.
Yeah, so our plan to promote food sovereignty in Youngstown is through a blended food co-op model. So we coined this term with the help of Melissa Miller, combining a food hub and a food co-op, blending them together into one holistic operation for Youngstown. So if you're not familiar with either of these terms, I'll give a quick explanation. A food hub is a distribution center that focuses on mainly buying from local farmers and distributing to Youngstown-based stores. A food co-op would be a community-led grocery store in the area that focuses mainly on selling locally grown items. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into how each of them operate separately. So the main goal of a food hub is to make it more accessible for local farmers to sell their produce within the community. Now, more often than not, they end up selling to larger distributors in Cleveland because that's more convenient and affordable for them to do. However, a food hub would make that a reality within Youngstown. So they'd be able to buy in bulk like the other larger distributors, buy more frequently, and accommodate for delivery so that farmers have the option to sell here. So one of the things that you'd be able to do then is then all of the stores within Youngstown would be able to have produce and not have to try individually to buy in bulk like a larger grocery store because that's not sustainable for them. The sustainable operation for a food hub. Now, obviously, you can't only buy from local producers. People want bananas, kiwis, different items that a local Youngstown farmer isn't going to be able to produce. Along with that, during the winter, they're not going to have operations. So you need to buy from larger regional producers and wholesalers to make it a year-round operation. So it's sustainable. However, you want to focus on helping local producers as much as possible. So one of the suppliers that the food hub would distribute to would be the food co-op end of this. So this would be the grocery store in Youngstown that's community-led. So how does the community lead this grocery store? It's through a members owner program. So anyone in the community can become a part owner of the co-op through a small yearly fee. Now, what you get with this is different special discounts for the store and things like that. But the main thing is you have the ability to vote on and become a part of the board of member owners that runs the store. It's kind of like a school board. You have your president, secretary, treasurer, different things like that. However, the main focus is that you represent everyone in the area. So the local producers will be able to vote on and have an elected representative a part of the board. The same with the buyers in the store, or the grocery stores and convenience stores that would buy from the distribution center would also have their own representation. So that way everyone in the community is involved, because that's a major part of food sovereignty, is taking community ownership of your food access. So another part of promoting food sovereignty is reducing food insecurity in Youngstown. So we addressed two main problems with food insecurity, which is food accessibility and food availability. So food accessibility we defined as how easy it is for residents to get to food access points. So what you want to do is have a lot of food access points that are easily accessible. If you have a lot of produce in Youngstown, but it's at one or two access points that aren't easily accessible, then people aren't going to be able to buy the produce. One way the Food Hub would tackle this problem is to be able to buy in bulk and distribute to smaller convenience stores that are all over Youngstown, so anyone could buy produce. The main problem the city is having with right now is that convenience stores are not set up to accommodate having produce and buying the large numbers, and a Food Hub would be able to tackle that problem and get more of these convenience stores involved in selling produce. The other part of this would be food availability, so getting more produce within Youngstown. One way the Food Hub would do that is obviously working with local farmers and wholesalers, but another part of this is increasing the demand for fresh produce. You can't bring in a lot of produce if no one's buying it. And the food co-op would promote more community involvement with their health and getting more people to buy the fresh produce that we're bringing within Youngstown. So the next point is investing in our community. Obviously, the Food Hub would be buying from mainly local producers, so you're reinvesting back in the community and selling it to Youngstown-based stores. So you're incentivizing grocery stores to want to come to Youngstown on top of that, because now you have a distributor to work with, so you're not basing them solely in the suburbs. They're wanting to come within Youngstown. And then the other part of the community is with the co-op, which is promoting community awareness and taking ownership of your healthy food access. That could be through the co-op social media groups, like Facebook groups, to get people involved. That could be hosting farmers markets at the food co-op, so that you're advertising the items that you're selling from local producers at a farmers market outside of the co-op. And then another thing would be volunteering at the co-op. You'd want to focus on getting volunteers from the area to help support the co-op, so you're getting more community involvement. So now that you better understand our idea of the plan, Praise will take over with the execution.
So for the execution of our plan, we found a possible physical location for our co-op. It's located at Elm Street. It was formerly the red and white grocery store, so it has the layout of a grocery store. That means we don't have to build one from scratch. We just need to make use of the one that's already available. It's also surrounded by a couple of cafes, which will be a sort of attraction to the co-op. It's also adjacent to a kitchen incubator, which means that people who are interested in meal preps will be able to get groceries from the co-op and prepare their meals at the Food Hub. There's also a plot of land behind this kitchen incubator that the Commonwealth is willing to give to the community members for a community garden. It's also close to the YSC campus. That means students will be able to access this co-op easily. And it's also close to the north side and the east side of Youngstown. For the distributor aspects, first we need to get a group of buyers and sellers. By buyers, we mean people who are willing to put farm produce in the convenience stores and in the small stores. And by producers, we mean farmers who are willing to give the produce to our distributor to sell for them. We also need to get an initial location for the distribution, because we don't have one now, even though some work is being done on it. For our location, we're looking for these qualities. First, we need a large space, so the amount of groceries we're getting will be able to be stored in a convenient space. We also need a parking deck, so the trucks that are supplying this produce will have easy access to the building that they're going to be stored in. We also need proximity to buyers and sellers. That means the building should be accessible to people who are willing to buy from us and people who are willing to sell to us. We also need large refrigeration capabilities, because we know that the products get spoiled easily. So we need somewhere to store them to prevent them from damaging. This is a replica of the map that Nate showed us earlier, which shows where healthy food is sold in Youngstown. Just for reminders, the small dots are the convenience stores, the red dots are the small grocery stores, and the blue dots are the big supermarkets. This map has been altered by a potential location for a food co-op. So this is how it's going to look. Possible partnership with YSU. So we're thinking of ways to partner with YSU in a co-op, and we came up with a few ideas. First, we can use the PIT points allocated to students at YSU to shop at the co-op. It means they don't have to necessarily remove money from their own pockets to be able to shop at the co-op. They can just use the PIT points that's already been allocated to them at YSU. That being said, honors students and non-honors students who are interested in volunteering can volunteer at the co-op and get a possible discount. International foods can also be supplied to the co-op and be sold there. Speaking from the point of an international student, it's kind of difficult for me to get stuff from where I'm from. I have to go like 30 minutes with a car and I don't drive, but with the bus it's like twice the time. So like 1 hour drive to get food products isn't really convenient for me as a student. So putting international foods in that co-op will make life easier for international students and also make the co-op attractive to people. An efficient way to do that is to include the membership of the co-op in the international students orientation package. So if before they get to the United States, they already have membership at the co-op. And then finally, we can supply some food produce from the co-op to the YSU dining, which is where YSU students that stay in the dorms get their daily meal. Now that I'm done with the execution, I'm going to leave it to Kaziah to talk about the plans for the future.
So our plans for the future, we created a survey to survey the people of Youngstown to see their opinions on bringing a co-op to the area. We also got a chance to survey some of the farmers around the area or in the area to see if they will be able to supply food to our co-op or to other convenience stores. So we took our survey and we gave it to the people at the Northside Market and at the Warren's Farmers Market. And we also passed out some of our flyers to some 4 sides of Youngstown. We also got some replies. The replies we got back from the farmers market were mostly biased because those people are advocates for healthy food. We didn't really get the perspective of people that eat fast food every day or that aren't really their normal isn't eating healthy food. Areas we wanted to survey were bus stations, the WRTA, churches, Youngstown State University, and any location that has a dense population of people from different areas of Youngstown that have a different perspective. So some of the results from the community, 38.6% has a difficult time obtaining groceries, 79.5% will support a food co-op, and 40.9% said there's an issue with the current state of healthy food accessibility in Youngstown. Also, some results from the farmers, 92.3% would support a food co-op, 78.6% think a Youngstown-based distributor will be beneficial for their business, 92.9% will be willing to work with a Youngstown distributor, and 69.2% will be willing to form a partnership with a food co-op. How our survey helped, we were able to enlighten people about the food co-op and how it works and what it is. And most of the people, the feedback we got back said they are looking forward to bringing a food co-op in this area. We were able to get some of the contacts of the farmers to see if they would be able to support our blended co-op and provide food and become potential investors of the co-op. People that we contacted was Melissa Miller. She was the former Lake to River supplier, and she also is a independent farmer. Other people we contacted was Pastor Justin for a part of the action group and also works with the mobile market and the food security task force. And we also contacted Jeff Magada of Flying High. He's the founder and the executive director. He also works with the mobile market and Grow Urban Gardens. Last week, we were able to talk to President Lafferty, and she was very on board and supportive of our ideas of a food co-op. And I'd like to thank her today for taking time out of her busy schedule to listen to our ideas. And we also got a few YSU contacts that helped us with our project.
Right, despite all that we've done, there's still quite a few issues within our community that still need attention. So one of them would be accessibility to healthy foods for the elderly and those who have a disability. Those people may not benefit from the solution that we have, especially because transportation is much more difficult for them. Another problem we have is making people excited about food again within Youngstown. Just because this stuff is going to be accessible and affordable does not necessarily mean people know how to use them or will use them. So we got to make people more excited about this so that Youngstown will become healthier. And for a more tangible goal, we still need to figure out a location for our distributor base. So this is the current state of Youngstown right now. It is a food desert, albeit, but with execution of our plan, we hope to make it a food oasis. So thank you all. We're going to go now to a Q&A session.
So I see you guys was talking about the partnerships that YSU could build with, the co-op system. Was there ever a thought that maybe YSU could be an educational arm in, educating people on how healthier food can benefit them? Mm-hmm. Also, that could, turn into people being more excited about food.
Yeah, we also did that. We also considered that it could be a new branch of YSU for agriculture as well. So that's something that isn't currently taught at YSU, and that is it's essential to our society. So I think it would be very beneficial to teach about that as well.
Another thing is behind the kitchen incubator, they have a small garden area that they want to expand, and so YSU students possibly within agriculture could go there and maybe have class demonstrations.
So a version of this existed in the same Elm Street spot not that long ago. Mm-hmm. One of the failings of that project was the cost of the produce and the goods that were available in the store. What would be different this time that would allow people in the community to actually access those products? As someone who lives in that neighborhood and shopped there a couple of times, I mean, everything was 2 or 3 times as expensive. And that was in the last 10 years, and with food prices 10% over what they were last year. What would be the means to keep the food at a price that people in the community could actually afford?
Yeah, so you're talking about Lake to River Food Co-op, used to be there. Melissa Miller, she was the president of that, so we had multiple meetings with her talking about that. But one of the things would be the food hub aspect. They didn't necessarily have that within the co-op. It was more just producer focused. You had a couple local farmers that were on the board that would have their items in the grocery store, and that was it. So the focus would be working on, yes, local farmers too, but also wholesalers buying in bulk more so you could have a more affordable system. And then the food hub, it would be the distribution of it too. So you're not having a farmer drive a van to the store, which is a lot more costly than if you could go have a larger truck, pick up all the local producers' items and distribute it, not only to the co-op, but also to convenience stores where you could sell it cheaper and have more access. So it's more volume of food, you're buying in bulk more so you could have cheaper prices. That's a good question though, thank you.
As a person within the neighborhoods, how do you communicate this to the people in the neighborhoods that are supposed to come to this food co-op?
Yeah.
You have them all around the cities. I see all that around the city, but I also see a need to be able to reach out into the neighborhoods and say, hey, this is here. Can you come over here this day or when it is or whatever?
Yeah, I think obviously working with local convenience stores in the area to promote it because they're going to want to promote it, but also local churches in the area. I feel like that's a hub of information for local communities. So talking with the churches, getting them to advertise this. These churches are already working on food accessibility in Youngstown. They get donations and work with food banks. So they're already trying to work to solve this problem. So if you could get them to advertise it to the communities, I'm sure they'd be willing to support that.
You can also work with the local media here as well to get the word out.
Yeah, and YSU also hosts a lot of programs, so we can use that program as a medium for advertisement to people in Youngstown.
So what are the next steps you guys are, well, what are the next steps that need to be taken to make this, take it from a slideshow and into an actual building?
Yeah, so our mentor right here, Sarah, she's kind of been overseeing and helping us with this. So our plan is to make a blueprint for how this idea would work and give it to her. We have a technical memo that we're giving her, so that way she can take this idea and run with it and work to get community members. Obviously, this is a concept, but you're gonna have different community members that are already working to solve food accessibility, like Jeff Magada, Melissa Miller, and getting them to work together.
All right, good plan.
And I'll just say really quickly, several of the members from the Healthy Community Partnerships, Healthy Food Retail team are here, so they can hear and see all of this firsthand. And we also have worked with the Youngstown Health Improvement Zone folks and the community health workers who are also here. So there's a team that's already like ready to go.
Awesome.
One last question.
I just more or less have a comment to just say about the convenience stores. When we talk about getting the word out there, we have to remember that the convenience stores that are within the neighborhoods on our side of town have been there. So they have a relationship with the community already. So they could be a mega voice for the co-op, especially if we involve them. I think that us involving the stores that have already been in the neighborhoods, even though they're not able to serve fresh foods per se, I believe that they would be more than willing to jump on board if we would help them provide space so that they can offer fresh fruits and vegetables. Because, a lot of times the reason why they don't do it is because they're a business. They have to survive too. They've been struggling just like everyone else with high prices. So we have to think about their costs as well. So if we're willing to partner with them and come together as a community and be unified, they'd be more than willing to promote this co-op because it'll be beneficial to them as well.
Very well put.
So